Every battle you'll ever fight begins in your mind. Not with your enemies, not with your circumstances, but with the thoughts you allow to take root. Your mind can either build your kingdom or burn it to the ground. Most people are prisoners of their own thinking, reacting to life like puppets pulled by emotion, impulse, fear, and insecurity. But if you learn to control your mind, you control the game. You become unshakable, calm in chaos, focused in distraction, and powerful where others crumble. In this video, we're going to break down exactly how to master the mind, not with vague inspiration, but with ruthless clarity. You'll learn how to silence negative thoughts, take command of your emotions, and operate from strategy, not reactivity. This isn't about suppressing your humanity, it's about upgrading your operating system. So if you're ready to stop being a slave to your thoughts and start mastering your mind like a warrior, then lock in. This is how to control your mind permanently. The first step to controlling your mind is realizing a brutal truth. Your mind is not always on your side. In fact, it lies to you more often than you realize. It tells you you're not good enough, that you're too late, too broken, too far behind, that one failure defines your future. These thoughts feel real, but they're just fear wearing a convincing mask. Your brain is wired for survival, not success. It wants comfort, safety, and familiarity, even if that means sabotaging your growth. So when you try to level up, your mind resists. It floods you with anxiety. It replays past mistakes. It exaggerates problems and underestimates your strength. Why? Because your mind would rather keep you small than risk uncertainty. That's why most people never change. They trust the voice in their head instead of challenging it. But when you understand that not every thought deserves your belief, you gain leverage. You create space between stimulus and response. You no longer react, you choose. And in that space, you reclaim power. The key is awareness. You can't fight what you can't see. So learn to observe your thoughts like a strategist, detached, skeptical, and focused. When a negative thought appears, don't argue with it, don't panic. Just label it. This is fear. This is self-doubt. This is my comfort zone trying to trap me. Once you expose the lie, its power fades. You realize the voice in your head isn't your commander, it's just noise. And from that point forward, you don't follow the thought, you lead it. That's how you start building the foundation of mental control, by recognizing the enemy isn't outside you, it's the undisciplined voice within. Silence it, and everything changes. Once you understand that your mind is the first battlefield, the next step is to train it like a warrior, not coddle it like a victim. Most people treat their emotions like they're fragile glass. Handle with care, don't upset them, don't push too hard. But that's why they stay stuck. Strength doesn't come from avoiding stress, it comes from conditioning under pressure. Discipline is not built in moments of comfort. It's built in the trenches, when you don't feel like showing up, but you do anyway. If you want to control your mind, you must put it through daily resistance. Just like a soldier trains for combat, you must train for life. Wake up early even when your bed is warm. Finish the workout even when your muscles scream. Speak your truth even when your voice shakes. Your mind learns through repetition. What you do consistently becomes who you are. So every time you override your excuses, you send a message to your brain, I am in charge now. This rewires your default settings from weakness to strength, from reaction to regulation. But here's the part most people miss. Discipline is not just about doing hard things. It's about doing the right things without emotional permission. Stop waiting to feel motivated. Stop needing to feel ready. You are not your emotions, you are the commander of them. That means you decide the mission and your mind follows. You feel fear? Good, do it scared. You feel tired? Perfect, do it anyway. Because the person who wins isn't the one who feels the best. It's the one who acts best when they feel the worst. This is how warriors are made, not in moments of ease, but in storms of resistance. Your mind will try to negotiate, rationalize, beg for comfort. Ignore it. Train anyway. The stronger you get, the quieter that voice becomes, and eventually it stops speaking altogether because it knows who's in control. That's how you master your mind. Not by being gentle with it, but by breaking it, rebuilding it, and forging it into something that obeys your will, not your weakness. Controlling your mind doesn't mean becoming cold or heartless. It means becoming emotionally sovereign. It means learning how to feel everything without letting anything control you. Most people think emotions are enemies of logic, but that's not true. Emotions are signals, they're messengers, not masters. Emotional detachment is not the absence of feeling, it's the refusal to be ruled by it. When someone disrespects you, your mind might scream to react, argue, prove your worth. But detachment whispers, "I don't need to respond to be powerful." That's control. When someone ghosts you, plays hot and cold, or triggers old wounds, your untrained mind might spiral into overthinking. But your trained mind knows the difference between what hurts and what's worth your energy. You don't chase closure, you create it. You don't beg for peace, you protect it. Emotional detachment is a skill forged in silence, in space, in choosing not to give people the power to shift your mood like a puppet. It's about keeping your center even while the storm rages around you. But here's the part that most people never reach. True detachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you care from a distance. You can love someone and still walk away. You can feel pain and still choose discipline. That's what makes you powerful. You're not numb, you're composed. You're not empty, you're anchored. You don't react to every trigger like a slave to your feelings. You observe, process, and respond only when it aligns with your standards. This is what emotional maturity looks like. You control your mind not by suppressing emotion, but by mastering your response to it. You get to choose what penetrates your peace. You get to decide what earns your energy. And when you live like that, you become magnetic. Calm is attractive. Composure is power. The person who doesn't flinch under pressure, who doesn't chase when ignored, who walks away with silence instead of screaming, that person holds the frame. They own the room. They dominate the dynamic. Not because they're trying to, but because their mind is untouchable. That's the goal. Feel everything, attach to nothing. Let people, situations, and outcomes pass through you, but never shake you. When you master this level of control, your peace becomes non-negotiable. Your mind becomes your fortress, and your presence becomes unforgettable. The modern mind is addicted to noise. Notifications, opinions, comparisons, anxieties, what-ifs. Most people can't even sit in silence for 5 minutes without reaching for a screen or letting their thoughts spiral. But here's the truth. The mind doesn't control you with volume. It controls you with distraction. It keeps you spinning in loops so you never pause long enough to regain your power. That's why if you want to control your mind, you must learn how to create stillness, deliberately, repeatedly, and unapologetically. Inner stillness is the mental reset button. It's where clarity returns, where emotion dissolves, where truth finally has space to breathe. And no, this isn't just about meditation. It's about owning moments of stillness throughout your day, sitting alone without stimulation, observing your thoughts without judgment, catching yourself mid-overthink and saying, "No, we're not doing that today." Stillness is a weapon in a world that thrives on chaos. It breaks the cycle of reaction. It gives you the upper hand when everyone else is frantic. The most powerful people you'll ever meet don't talk the most, post the most, or react the fastest. They pause. They listen. They respond with precision, not panic. And that's not an accident. It's training. Inner stillness trains you to remain grounded when your environment is screaming. It makes you dangerous in the best way. People can't provoke you. Problems can't overwhelm you. Your own thoughts can't bully you anymore. Why? Because you no longer fear the silence. You use it. When your mind starts spiraling, stillness says, "Let it spin. I'll be here when it's done." And once the storm passes, you're still standing, still clear, still composed. That's what separates leaders from reactors. The one who can pause wins. And here's the best part. Once you get addicted to stillness, your entire nervous system changes. You don't chase people for validation. You don't beg life to make sense. You stop arguing with the past or obsessing over the future. You operate from presence. And presence is rare. Presence is felt. Presence is magnetic. So, if you want to control your mind, stop feeding it constant noise. Starve the chaos. Give it space. Let silence become your superpower. And in that space, you'll realize your peace was never lost. It was just buried beneath the noise you were too afraid to escape. But now, you've returned. To truly control your mind, you must understand this. The brain is a creature of habit. It doesn't distinguish between a helpful thought and a destructive one. It simply reinforces whatever you repeat. That means every time you think, "I'm not good enough," your brain makes it easier to think that again tomorrow. It builds a mental pathway, a neurological groove that becomes your default response. The good news? You can rewire those grooves, but it won't happen through hope or motivation. It happens through repetition. Deliberate, consistent, unapologetic repetition. You must feed your brain the thoughts you want it to believe, even before you fully believe them. This is where most people fail. They wait to feel confident before they affirm confidence. They wait to feel worthy before they speak worth. But mastery begins when you plant the thought and water it every single day until it becomes truth. You want to change your mindset? Start speaking like the person you're becoming, not the person you're trying to escape. Say it when it feels awkward. Say it when it feels fake. Say it until your nervous system finally catches up and says, "This is who we are now." Because your mind is always listening, and repetition is how it learns. If you constantly tell yourself you're anxious, behind, or broken, your brain adapts to support that identity. But if you start feeding it new instructions, "I remain calm under pressure," "I am focused and unshakable," "I don't chase, I attract," your brain will begin building that version of you. Not because it's magic, but because it's science. Neural pathways strengthen with use, and every thought is a signal you send to your future self. So send better signals. Write affirmations. Repeat your principles out loud. Create a mental code and say it daily. Not just when you're inspired, but especially when you're tired, triggered, or tempted to spiral. That's when the rewiring matters most. Real transformation happens in repetition. And if you're thinking, "But I've tried that before and it didn't work," no, you stopped before it did. Your mind was conditioned over years. Undoing that wiring isn't a weekend project, it's a lifestyle. But if you stay consistent, you'll wake up one day and realize you don't even think the way you used to. The anxiety voice is quiet. The self-doubt isn't leading. You're not reacting, you're choosing. That's the result of training your mind like a warrior. It listens to your commands because you trained it to. So, control your narrative. To master your mind, you must break the chain of emotional reactivity, the impulsive, unconscious habits that sabotage your power every time life doesn't go your way. Emotional reactivity is when someone triggers you and you respond without thinking. It's when fear rushes in and you panic, when someone ghosts you and you chase, when you're insulted and feel the need to explain or defend. These are the patterns that keep you emotionally enslaved. Because the real danger isn't what others do, it's how predictably you respond. Every time you react emotionally without awareness, you give control to the external world. You let someone else's behavior dictate your internal state. And in that moment, your mind becomes a puppet. But here's the truth. The most powerful people in the world aren't the loudest. They're the calmest. They observe before they act. They feel before they speak. They pause before they respond. And that pause, that space between stimulus and response, is where real power lives. When you learn to pause, even for 5 seconds, you interrupt the pattern. You regain control. You step out of survival mode and into strategy. Instead of arguing, you redirect. Instead of panicking, you adapt. Instead of chasing, you withdraw with elegance. This isn't suppression, it's discipline. It's not weakness, it's emotional dominance. The mind that can feel everything without being ruled by anything is the mind that wins. And you build that ability by practicing self-observation daily. Start by noticing your first impulse. When someone disrespects you, pause. When plans fall apart, pause. When you feel tempted to prove your worth, pause. Don't suppress the emotion, just don't let it drive. Let it sit in the passenger seat while your higher self takes the wheel. Train yourself to ask in every moment, what would the most powerful version of me do right now? And then do that, even if it's uncomfortable, especially if it's uncomfortable, because discomfort is where the rewiring happens. When you choose silence over retaliation, stillness over drama, indifference over neediness, that's when you rise above your old programming. You stop reacting like the version of you that was conditioned by pain, and you start responding like the version of you that's led by purpose. The result? You move differently. You think clearer. You intimidate without trying. Not because you're cold, but because you're in control. When people can't get a rise out of you, they lose power over you. And that is how you shift from being emotionally reactive to emotionally untouchable. From ruled by your feelings to the one who rules them. That's real mind control. And it starts with mastering the pause. One of the most overlooked keys to controlling your mind is mastering your internal dialogue, the voice in your head that narrates your every move, decision, and emotion. Most people let that voice run wild. They let it echo insecurities, repeat old trauma, or mimic the criticisms of others. Over time, that voice becomes a tyrant that keeps them small, anxious, and reactive. But here's the truth. That voice isn't you. It's a script, a mental program built from childhood, trauma, past failures, social conditioning, and repeated emotional patterns. And like any script, it can be rewritten. The first step is awareness. Start listening to how you talk to yourself. Noticing when you use phrases like, "I can't," "What if I fail?" or "They don't care." Every time you hear yourself use language that weakens your power or frames you as the victim, pause and challenge it. Ask yourself, who does this voice really belong to? Was it a parent who doubted you? A partner who manipulated you? A past version of yourself that was afraid? Once you identify where the narrative came from, you take back the pen. You stop letting old ghosts write your future. Next, you consciously replace that voice with one that's disciplined, grounded, and empowering. This doesn't mean delusion. It means becoming the calm commander of your own mind. Instead of, "What if it goes wrong?" ask, "What will I do when it goes right?" Instead of, "They might leave me," say, "I'll still thrive whether they stay or go." This internal shift changes everything, because your mind responds to the tone of your voice. If you speak to yourself with confidence, your nervous system begins to relax. Your posture shifts, your decisions become bolder, and people around you start responding to your self-belief, often without even realizing why. Repetition is the key here. You don't rewire your mind with one positive thought. You do it with daily discipline. Morning routines where you affirm powerfully. Night routines where you review your day like a leader, not a critic. And in moments of weakness, you remind yourself, this is just old programming. I don't obey it anymore. You literally train your mind to stop identifying with failure and start expecting victory. Over time, you develop a voice that speaks to you like a stoic general, calm under fire, focused on the mission, never panicking, never begging. That's the kind of mind that doesn't need validation to feel strong. It doesn't chase chaos for stimulation. It stands in solitude with clarity, and that voice becomes your anchor. When life storms hit, it grounds you. When people doubt you, it reminds you who you are. And when your own fear whispers, "You're not ready," it answers, "I make myself ready." That's what separates those who fold under pressure from those who lead themselves through fire. Reprogram your internal voice, and you reprogram your entire destiny. In the final step to mastering your mind, You must build what I call a mental fortress, a space within you that no one can access, disturb, or manipulate. This is not about detaching from reality or pretending to be unaffected. It's about creating a core of inner stillness that remains untouchable regardless of what's happening outside you. Most people walk through life with a wide-open mind, allowing every opinion, headline, rejection, or emotional wave to penetrate them. They absorb chaos like a sponge: social media noise, toxic people, past regrets, future fears, and wonder why they feel anxious, lost, and exhausted. You cannot control your mind if your attention is always being hijacked. The most powerful people in the world are not those who know everything. They are those who protect their focus like it's sacred, because it is. Your focus is your life force. And if you want control, you must guard it with boundaries, routines, and ruthless clarity. That starts with what and who you let into your space. Every conversation, every scroll, every notification is either building your mental fortress or weakening it. Ask yourself, does this feed my mind or drain it? Does this align with my goals or distract from them? Is this helping me become who I want to be or dragging me into someone else's emotional storm? Start treating your peace as a territory. Every time you react to a text out of fear, answer a call that disrupts your energy, or engage in arguments that lead nowhere, you're letting someone walk into your fortress and set fire to your focus. And it's your job to stop that. Discipline doesn't just mean saying yes to work, it means saying no to noise. Protecting your energy from negativity isn't weakness, it's war strategy. The fewer intrusions your mind has to process, the sharper it becomes. You think clearer, you respond slower, you lead with presence. Over time, your inner world becomes so calm, so grounded, so disciplined that even when life throws chaos your way, you remain unshaken. People will try to trigger you. Life will test you, but when your mind is fortified, those tests don't reach your center. You'll see the drama, but not be pulled into it. You'll hear the doubt, but not be controlled by it. You'll feel the pressure, but respond with poise. This is what mastery looks like. Not the absence of challenge, but the ability to walk through it with a still mind. The calmest person in the room always holds the most power, not because they speak the loudest, but because their silence speaks for them. And that silence is only possible when you've built a fortress inside your own mind. So remember this: you don't need to control everything. You just need to control your response to everything. And that begins with building a mind that belongs to you, not to your emotions, not to your past, not to your ego, just you. Focused, steady, unbreakable. That's the mind of a true master. Everything you've heard in this video leads back to one truth. Your mind is the root of your reality. You can't control every circumstance, but you can control how your mind meets each one. You can't change every person, but you can control how much access they have to your thoughts, your emotions, and your energy. Most people never realize the power they have because they're too busy reacting to the world instead of mastering their inner world. But not you. From today forward, you have the tools to shift, to pause before reacting, to discipline your thoughts, to starve the mental habits that weaken you and feed the ones that make you powerful. You've learned to separate thought from identity, to let go of past baggage, to protect your peace, to build routines that train your mind like a warrior. You've seen how clarity beats chaos and how silence isn't weakness, it's control. This isn't about becoming perfect, it's about becoming sovereign, a person who no longer gets tossed around by moods, people, or pressure, a person who lives with calm conviction even in the middle of noise. So, the next time your mind tries to spiral, remember, you've trained for this. You're not just surviving the storm, you're learning to command it. The more you master your mind, the more life bends to your will. So protect it, train it, lead it, and above all, own it. Because in the end, your mind is your kingdom, and how you rule it determines everything. Stay sharp, stay grounded, and as always, keep walking forward with power.